Let me ask you something. How many times this week did someone ruin your mood? A stranger who cut you off in traffic, a coworker who criticized your ideas, or maybe that one friend who always knows just how to get under your skin. Be honest, it's happened. Now imagine this. What if you could become untouchable? Not in a nobody messes with me way, but in a way where no one, not your boss, not a family member, not even that nosy neighbor, could ever disturb your peace again. Sounds impossible, right? Stick around, because I'm about to show you how Stoicism can help you master your emotions and stay calm, cool, and collected no matter what. These aren't fluffy, feel-good platitudes. What you're about to hear are practical, proven methods to keep your composure and protect your peace, even in the most trying situations. Let's dive into the first step. 1. Limit access to toxic people. Here's a tough truth. Not everyone deserves your time or energy. Think of your peace of mind like a bank account. Every interaction either makes a deposit or a withdrawal. And let's face it, some people are overdrawing your account, and it's time to cut them off. Let me share a story. In my early 20s, I had a roommate named Daniel. At first, we got along great, but as time went on, I noticed something. Daniel thrived on drama. Every day, there was a new catastrophe, whether it was a fight with his girlfriend, an issue at work, or some petty argument with a friend. And guess who he always came to for advice? Me. At first, I wanted to be supportive, but eventually it became clear. Daniel wasn't looking for solutions. He just wanted someone to unload on. I realized our conversations were draining me, leaving me irritable and exhausted. One night, after yet another long venting session, I decided enough was enough. The next day, I started setting boundaries, not in a confrontational way, but firmly. When he wanted to talk, I told him I was busy. When he texted me about yet another emergency, I took hours to reply, or didn't respond at all. Over time, something incredible happened. Daniel stopped coming to me with every little issue. He found other outlets for his drama, and I regained my peace. Here's the takeaway. Toxic people don't always need dramatic exits. Sometimes, all it takes is a quiet retreat. Limit your availability, set clear boundaries, and watch as your life becomes lighter. But let's address the elephant in the room. What if the toxic person is family, a parent who criticizes you constantly, or a sibling who guilts you into every favor? Cutting them off might not be an option, but limiting their influence is. Spend less time with them. Keep interactions brief and purposeful. And most importantly, don't feel obligated to explain yourself. At the end of the day, you owe it to yourself to protect your peace. Remember, the less access toxic people have to your life, the more space you create for positive, uplifting relationships. 2. Lower your expectations. Here's a truth bomb. Most of us walk around expecting too much from other people. We expect them to be kind, reliable, and emotionally aware. And when they inevitably fall short, we feel disappointed or even angry. But here's the thing. Your expectations are the problem, not their behavior. I learned this lesson the hard way during my first job. My manager, Chris, was notoriously disorganized. He'd forget meetings, miss deadlines, and then blame the team when things went wrong. For months, I let his actions get under my skin. I'd go home frustrated, venting to my friends about how unfair it was. One day, during another one of Chris's infamous blame-shifting meetings, a colleague leaned over and whispered, "Why do you expect him to change? He's been like this for years." That simple comment shifted my entire perspective. Instead of hoping Chris would magically become a better manager, I adjusted my expectations. I stopped expecting clear communication and started preparing for his unpredictability. I documented everything, followed up more than usual, and stopped taking his criticism personally. My frustration vanished. Chris didn't change, but I did. And because I wasn't wasting energy being angry at his behavior, I performed better at work and felt less stressed. Lowering your expectations doesn't mean accepting bad behavior. It means protecting your peace by being realistic. People are flawed. They forget things, make mistakes, and sometimes act selfishly. When you expect perfection, you set yourself up for disappointment. But when you expect imperfection, you're less likely to be caught off guard. Think of it this way: if you expect a rainy day, you bring an umbrella. If it doesn't rain, great. But if it does, you're prepared. Lowering your expectations is the emotional equivalent of carrying that umbrella. So, the next time someone forgets your birthday, interrupts you mid-sentence, or doesn't live up to your standards, take a breath and ask yourself, did I expect too much? Chances are, you did. Adjust your expectations, and you'll feel a lot lighter. 3. Reframe annoying people as teachers. Annoying people exist. There's no avoiding them. But instead of seeing them as sources of frustration, what if you saw them as teachers? That's the secret. Annoying people can teach you patience, resilience, and emotional control. Here's a personal example. A few years ago, I had a neighbor named Steve. Steve loved to start loud DIY projects at the crack of dawn. Hammering, drilling, the works. At first, I was livid. I'd wake up grumpy, thinking, why can't this guy be considerate? But no matter how angry I got, the noise continued. One morning, after being jolted awake by Steve's hammering, I realized something. My anger wasn't solving anything. Steve wasn't going to stop, and I couldn't control his behavior, but I could control how I reacted to it. So I decided to treat the situation as a lesson in patience. Every time the noise started, I'd remind myself that this was an opportunity to practice staying calm in the face of irritation. I'd put on headphones, focus on my breathing, and remind myself that the noise wasn't personal. Over time, something amazing happened. Steve, not because it was any quieter, but because I stopped letting it control my emotions. Here's the deeper lesson. Annoying people often act out because of their own struggles. Maybe they're stressed, insecure, or just unaware of how their behavior affects others. By reframing their actions as opportunities to practice patience or empathy, you take away their power to upset you. This doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior. If someone crosses a boundary, you should address it. But for the everyday annoyances, the colleague who talks too loudly on calls, the friend who interrupts constantly, the stranger who cuts in line, try to see them as your teachers. Every frustrating interaction is a chance to build your emotional resilience. The more you practice, the less power annoying people will have over you. And who knows, one day you might even thank them for the lessons they unknowingly taught you. 4. Embrace radical acceptance. Love doesn't always go the way we want it to, and people don't always act how we wish they would. But here's the key. The more you fight against reality, the more frustration you create for yourself. Radical acceptance is the Stoic practice of acknowledging what you can't control and choosing to focus on what you can. Let me share a story. A few years ago, I was on a long road trip with some friends. We had planned everything down to the last detail: timing, stops, even playlists. But halfway through, our car broke down in the middle of nowhere. Everyone panicked. One friend kept complaining about how this would ruin the trip. Another frantically tried to call for help. I could feel my own frustration bubbling up. Why us? Why now? But then I remembered something I'd read about Stoicism. You can't control external events, but you can control your response. I took a deep breath and accepted the situation. The car was broken, and no amount of complaining was going to fix it. Instead of getting caught up in the chaos, I suggested we use the downtime to enjoy the scenery, play some road games, and make the breakdown ended up being one of the most memorable parts of the trip. We laughed, bonded, and even found a local diner that served the best pie we'd ever tasted while waiting for the tow truck. Radical acceptance doesn't mean you have to like what's happening. It just means you stop resisting it. By letting go of what you can't control, you free up your energy to focus on what you can. The next time life throws you a curveball, a canceled plan, a traffic jam, or someone acting out of line, pause and ask yourself, can I control this? If the answer is no, take a deep breath and let it go. Acceptance isn't giving up, it's a superpower that allows you to move forward with grace and resilience. 5. Adopt the okay mindset. Here's a game-changing idea. The next time someone says or does something annoying, respond with one simple word, okay. Not sarcastically, not dismissively, just neutrally and calmly. It's like hitting the mute button on drama. Let me tell you about how I learned the power of okay. I had a colleague, Rachel, who was notorious for criticizing everyone's work. No matter how good a presentation or project was, Rachel would find something negative to say. For months, I'd get defensive, trying to explain my decisions or prove her wrong. But the more I argued, the more critical she became. One day, during yet another one of Rachel's critiques, I decided to try something new. Instead of defending myself, I simply said, okay. She blinked, surprised, and then continued talking. Again, I nodded and said, okay. By the third okay, she stopped mid-sentence. Rachel wasn't used to not getting a reaction. My calm response left her with nothing to push against, and the tension evaporated. Over time, her critiques became less frequent, at least with me. Here's why this works. Most people thrive on react. When you get angry, defensive, or upset, you're giving them the emotional fuel they're looking for. But when you respond with calm neutrality, they lose that power over you. Okay doesn't mean you agree. It doesn't mean you're giving in. It means you're choosing not to engage with negativity. Of course, there are times when a more thoughtful response is needed, like when addressing serious issues or setting boundaries. But for petty complaints, passive-aggressive comments, or minor annoyances, okay is your secret weapon. The next time someone tries to drag you into their drama or criticizes you unnecessarily, take a deep breath, look them in the eye and say, okay. Watch how it diffuses the situation. More importantly, watch how it protects your peace. The power of okay lies in its simplicity. It's not just a word, it's a mindset, a declaration that you refuse to let anyone else dictate your emotional state. 6. Be selective with your time and energy. Not everyone deserves a piece of your time, energy, or attention. This might sound harsh, but here's the truth. Your resources are limited. If you give too much to others, you'll have nothing left for yourself. I learned this lesson from a friend named Sarah. Sarah was one of those people who always seemed to be in a crisis. Every week, there was a new drama. Problems at work, fights with her partner, or some feud with a friend. And every time she'd call me, expecting me to drop everything and listen. At first, I didn't mind. I wanted to be a good friend. But over time, it became clear. Sarah wasn't interested in solving her problems. She just wanted someone to complain to. I'd spend hours on the phone offering advice, only for her to ignore it and call back with the same issue days later. One day, after a particularly exhausting call, I realized I couldn't keep this up. I needed to set boundaries for my own sanity. The next time Sarah called, I let it go to voicemail. When she texted, I waited hours before replying, keeping my responses short and polite. At first, she didn't take it well, but I stayed firm. Eventually, Sarah stopped relying on me so heavily, and I felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders. Here's the lesson. Being selective with your time isn't selfish, it's necessary. When you say no to things that drain you, you create space for things that energize and uplift you. This doesn't mean cutting people off entirely. It means being intentional about how you spend your time. Prioritize relationships and activities that add value to your life, and don't be afraid to say no to the rest. The next time someone asks for your time or energy, pause and ask yourself, do I really want to do this? If the answer is no, say so. Politely, firmly, and without guilt. Protecting your peace starts with setting boundaries. 7. Find humor in the chaos. Life is full of absurd, frustrating, and downright ridiculous moments. But here's a secret. When you learn to laugh at the chaos, you take away its power to upset you. Let me share a story. A while ago, I was running late for an important meeting. Just as I stepped outside, it started pouring rain. No umbrella in sight. To make matters worse, I missed my bus, and when I finally caught a cab, the driver took the longest possible route. By the time I arrived, I was drenched, frustrated, and convinced the universe was out to get me. But then something shifted. As I looked at my soaked clothes and the bewildered expressions on my colleagues' faces, I started laughing. The situation was so absurd that it felt like a scene from a comedy movie. My laughter broke the tension, and suddenly being late didn't seem like such a big deal. Here's the thing. Humor has a way of putting things into perspective. When you laugh at life's little inconveniences, you remind yourself that most problems aren't as serious as they seem in the moment. This approach works with people too. Imagine the rude customer at the coffee shop, the overly dramatic coworker, or the friend who's always late. Instead of getting angry, picture them as characters in a sitcom. Their behavior might still be annoying, but it becomes harder to take seriously. Humor doesn't just help you stay calm, it also diffuses tension. The next time someone makes a snarky comment, try responding with a light-hearted joke instead of a defensive remark. You'll be surprised at how quickly the mood shifts. Of course, not every situation is a laughing matter, but for the everyday annoyances, the traffic jams, the spilled coffee, the loud neighbors, finding humor can be a game changer. The truth is, life is too short to let small things steal your joy. So when chaos strikes, try this. Take a deep breath, find the humor in the situation, and let it roll off your back. After all, laughter isn't just good for the soul, it's great for your peace of mind. Congratulations, you've just unlocked the tools to stay calm and unbothered, no matter what life throws at you. From limiting access to toxic people to embracing radical acceptance and even learning to laugh at the absurdity of it all, you now have a blueprint for mastering your emotions. Here's the ultimate takeaway. Peace isn't something you find, it's something you cultivate. It doesn't depend on other people's behavior or external circumstances. It's about how you choose to respond. You can't control the chaos around you, but you can control how you let it affect you. The next time someone tests your patience, remember this: you are in control. You have the power to set boundaries, adjust your expectations, reframe annoyances, and protect your energy. These aren't just strategies, they're acts of self-respect. And here's the real magic. When you stop reacting to negativity, you make room for positivity. You'll notice the small, beautiful moments in your day. You'll attract healthier relationships. And most importantly, you'll finally feel the freedom that comes from not letting anyone else So here's my challenge for you. Try just one of these strategies this week. Whether it's saying okay to a petty comment, laughing at a frustrating situation, or finally setting a boundary with someone draining your energy, take that first step. Drop your favorite tip in the comments, or share a story about how you stayed unbothered in a tough situation. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button. share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more insights on living a peaceful, purposeful life. Your peace is your power. Protect it fiercely. See you in the next video, and until then, stay calm and keep thriving.